Well. Thank you to Buck Angel first and foremost, for interviewing me, giving me the chance to go off king. And thanks to everybody who has given me such incredibly positive feedback. I'm sure not everybody is going to be doing that, but from Buck's channel, I guess you could kind of expect it would be largely positive. But whatever. I eagerly await Jesse Gender or whoever is going to come and tell me that I'm keeping trans people from existing or whatever. That language is just so tired. The transphobia and we just want to exist. Like, when you're saying that, like when I say that to, J.K. Rowling, really, like, you can't be in that bathroom or locker room, like, you'll just cease to exist. Really? Is that what's going on? I don't know. It blows me away. I've seen such incredible, I don't even know what the word is for it. Somebody was, Eric Weinstein, I think that's talking about anti-interesting or something, talking about Jeffrey Epstein and how that story is, is anti-interesting, meaning that people want to actually hear the story, want to know what the deal is, but because there's the larger conspiracy of people who don't want that information coming out, the story just sort of, doesn't get covered. The number of dogs who don't bark, he said, is amazing. And similar sort of thing. And the skeptic community on Reddit, r/skeptic, I've tried to, just the most gentle, like, here we've got multiple independent systematic reviews of evidence, which is the highest possible, universally accepted, highest possible grade of evidence, where they take a bunch of studies, they try very hard not to cherry pick them, and then do an analysis of all of them and see how strong the actual evidence in favor of a given conclusion is. In this case, medical treatment being effective and safe. Does pediatric gender-affirming care actually prevent teen suicide or even depression? And all of these independent reviews, every single one that's been done from Florida, which of course you might say, oh, but that's Florida is conservative. Well, who knows? But I mean, I don't know that anybody has raised any actual concerns about the integrity of the systematic review. But the UK, Sweden, and I believe Finland have done them. And they always say the same thing. There is no evidence that this pediatric gender-affirming care does anything at all good, really. Is effective at treating anything. And so, yeah, I posted that up on r/skeptic a couple weeks ago, a week ago. I don't know, time's been flying, but just saying, how many systematic reviews of evidence will it take before the plot armor around pediatric gender-affirming care is deactivated? Because ordinarily, I'm no scientist, but my understanding is a single systematic review of evidence that found any type of pediatric medicine to have no evidentiary support as being effective and safe, that would be enough to seriously put the brakes on everything, and people would, around the world, anybody who was using that, treatment would be like, oh, we gotta we got to really take a look at what we're doing here. And again, it's not, these are independent, so it's not like Florida was talking to the UK, was talking to Sweden, was talking to Finland. They all had their own medical boards, all did their own reviews. They all come to the same conclusion. I said, how many is it going to take before we at least say that it's controversial as opposed to, it's known science, why you're transphobic, you won't accept the science. Or what they responded, it's like, actually people were trying to say that indeed, Sweden and the UK and all, they've all been taken over by, far right, anti-trans or transphobic factions. It's like, well, okay, even if they were, even if the medical boards were, when you publish the systematic review, people can look at it and say, what was your methodology? What papers did you look at? What papers did you not look at? And if there was something important that was missed, somebody would say something, and as I said, to Buck, all of the kids that are not getting that gender affirming care now, are they killing themselves? If they're not, shut up. Stop telling everybody you're going to kill yourself, because there's one thing that's well known is if you tell a bunch of teenagers that they're going to kill themselves, that's going to increase the odds that they're going to kill themselves. How could it do anything else? But in fact, they're not killing themselves. So, that's good. It's not good in the sense that it really does show that they rolled this stuff out worldwide without having actually tested it, without having any idea whether it did anything at all. And that really ought to tell you something about what's going on here. I don't know, the whole grooming thing, but at the same time, well, what else is it? What are you trying to do? The principle, I suppose, originally what I understand is that adults who had transitioned were having poor mental health outcomes, not necessarily suicide, but just they were not, feeling happy. And of course, instead of questioning whether or not transitioning was the right thing to do, what we need to do is transition them earlier because, and again, they were largely men at that point in time. This was before the big shift happened to being mostly girls transitioning. Men have man hands and stubble and, these things that the height, just things that make it difficult to pass. And so it was like, well, maybe that's the problem, is that they can't pass enough. So, what we need to do is start, converting them, transitioning them young. And so it was supposed to fix mental health outcomes in adults. And somewhere along the line, instead of that being the point, it suddenly became fixing the mental health outcomes of the kids. But there were never suicidal trans kids before, or gender dysphoric kids before in any great number. It was a problem that, kids 80% of them would just grow out of it anyway. And the rest, maybe some would transition, and then they might end up having, poor mental health outcomes. But there was never any epidemic of teen or even, younger, suicide or any other mental health issue related to gender dysphoria until they rolled this out. And then, that became the narrative. It changed from, convert or to transition your child now, because better to have a transitioned child who won't later on in life kill themselves, suddenly became who will kill themselves now if you don't transition them. It's so coercive and amoral, really. Is it immoral? Or is it just a complete, there's not even good or bad or evil, whatever. It's just do whatever it takes to get more butts in the surgery seats. I don't know. It's hard not to imagine that there is some sort of, Jeffrey Epstein type, grooming conspiracy thing here. Because it's why on earth would you, for the sake of mental health outcomes? It's not like there was all of the adult transitioners were killing themselves even. It's not like there was some massive problem that you needed to, like, we got to fix this right away. It wasn't that pressing that you would roll this out and have, like, no testing of it, no standards, you know, relax all of the normal guidelines and of you know, the gatekeeping, as they call it, and just say, yeah, no, go ahead. You don't even need a diagnosis of gender dysphoria now to be trans. It's you can just, you know, yeah, I just want to go on cross-sex hormones because that's the thing to do. It is really sick, and what's just unbelievable is that, again, I post this up to the skeptic community. Right? This is not like a LGBT subreddit, the skeptic subreddit. And these people, it's like, what? What do you mean? Well, why should that matter? You know, like, guys, are you playing dumb? Or is there something like, are we really in some body snatchers type world where these people don't know? All these people on r/skeptic are just like, well, I don't get, like, if it were any other topic, if we were talking about, like, anti-vax, I'd be like, oh my God, these fucking idiots, you know, this isn't science, you know, blah, blah. Well, all that's just out the window. It's very strange. Anyway, to keep things a little bit positive, it has really been an incredible 24 hours, or, you know, maybe 36 at this point, but since the interview went up, I even had, I forwarded a thing to a semi-famous friend of mine who wrote back like like a full letter of appreciation, and actually thinks that he might have Klinefelters, I think. So, well, we'll see what happens with that down the road a ways. Yeah, I am definitely feeling ready to do this. Thanks to all of your support. So hopefully I'll get a little bit more sophisticated, you know, YouTube video type bling going on. But for now, this is XXYYs, and I hope that you all are doing fabulously.